Hey guys, Mr. Levinson again, talking to you about the other part of George Washington's farewell address, which was neutrality. He had asked us in his farewell address to steer clear of permanent alliances with any portion of the foreign world. Um, and this proclamation of neutrality that he made actually during his presidency um, worldwide was not very popular, especially with France. Because if you think back to the French Revolution, when George Washington proclaims neutrality, they're thinking back to only a dozen years before when they had our back during the American Revolution. And I wanted to show you this one picture. This came from Lala, her her response to the homework for the vocabulary. This is a great picture where Neutrality Proclamation of 1793 of George Washington, where both the British and the French are trying to get us on their side as they are kind of either going at one another or in France having their revolution. And in the United States, this newborn country is just kind of like, no, we're going to sit out. We're good. Um, and this becomes very, controversial because the French are specifically upset with us because we were there for them, or they were there for us. Excuse me. So that was one part of it. After this neutrality proclamation, there's a whole bunch of things that take place in Adams and Jefferson's presidencies that you guys will read about in the notes, especially the XYZ affair and the Embargo Act, both aimed. These are both events that took place where the United States was having problems with England and France. XYZ affairs with France, and the Embargo Act is against England, being upset with England and France actually, but England especially for this idea of impressment. And eventually, there's this group of people called the War Hawks that you will read about. These are people in Congress who really want to go after England. They want to fight England, and it's not just because of what's happening in the world. It also is because of this idea that we won our revolution because we cheated, and it was a fluke, and that if we had ever fought England the right way, we would have lost. And it reminds me of being a kid when I was just about your age. I was 15, and in February of 1990, there was this boxer who'd been beating everybody. And you guys may have heard of him before. His name's Mike Tyson. And he had just been beating everybody, fighting them. You'd watch their fight. It would be over in 30 seconds, and so nobody thought much about it when he's fighting in Tokyo. And this is like in the middle of the night. It's happening in the United States. Nobody was even watching the fight because it was happening in Japan. It was very, very late at night here. And you'll hear the announcer in just a second. Listen to how he describes Mike Tyson.
Just another day at work for Mike Tyson. He looks almost bored.
Just another day for Mike Tyson. He looks almost bored. And then there's this guy, Buster Douglas, who like nobody knows anything about. He's like kind of like he's the next in line for the heavyweight title, but no, people don't know much about him at the time because Mike Tyson had just been beating everybody, so nobody really cared who the next in line was. And then this happened.
Shot again. He's down. He comes with the uppercut. Somehow or other, Buster's throwing shots back. Hey, look at that! Look at Buster coming back. Did he punch on the legs of Mike? I don't know. He's got him again. Oh, nice uppercut by Buster Douglas. Look at that! He knocked Mike Tyson down for the first time in his career. Mike Tyson hits
the first time in his career Mike Tyson's knocked out. And all of the world is shocked. But the next day, when people start talking about it, and even Mike Tyson is saying it, they're saying that, it was a fluke. It would never happen. 99 times out of 100, when Mike Tyson fights Buster Douglas, he wins. And maybe it was a bad night for him. And this is in American history, really what we're looking at with these war hawks, with people who are saying, we didn't really earn our revolution, that we won the war. And it wasn't so much that we won, it was more that England decided that they didn't want to fight anymore and they just let us go. And so there are these people who, like Calhoun and Henry Clay, who are saying, you know what, we want a rematch because we want to prove to the world that we won. And a lot of the War of 1812 is like that, is trying to prove to the world that our country is legitimate, that it wasn't a fluke. And yeah, there were a lot of definitely legitimate causes to the War of 1812, political causes, economic causes, and even military causes, where the British were forcing our sailors to be sailors on their ships, or the British were giving aid to Native Americans and trying to get them to make trouble for us in the frontier. So there are definitely legitimate causes, but really, like, one of the big stories about the War of 1812 is this is American Revolution Part Two. This is the part where we get to prove that we actually did earn that right to win.